Today, we're diving into the mystical world of Merlin, the legendary wizard from the tales of King Arthur. So, Merlin, also known as Mervin, has been captivating audiences for centuries. His story starts way back in the 12th century, in a book called History of the Kings of Britain by Geoffrey of Monmouth. This dude was like the Dumbledore of his time, you know? Wise, mysterious, and with a knack for seeing the future. Merlin's got quite the journey throughout literature. From Geoffrey's writings to French poets adding their own spin, he's been around the block. Robert de Doron even made him into a Christian prophet, which was a whole new vibe. In the Arthurian legends, Merlin's basically Arthur's right-hand wizard. He's there from the get-go, shaping Arthur's destiny from the moment he's conceived. Talk about being involved in someone's life, right? But here's the twist. Merlin's got all this power and knowledge, but he can't change fate. He's like a wise old owl who sees everything but can't always interfere. It's a tough gig, but someone's gotta do it. Now, let's talk names. Merlin's name isn't just a regular old name, it's actually a place name, referring to the city of Carmarthen where he supposedly came from. And fun fact, Geoffrey Latinized Merlin to Merlinus, because, let's face it, Murdernis sounded a bit too close to Murdis, which means, well, let's just say it's not the most flattering Latin word. Merlin's origins are pretty wild too. He started out in Welsh folklore as this half-savage dude living in the woods, kind of like a medieval hermit with magical powers. There's even a story about a bard named Merlin Wilt who supposedly lost his marbles after a big battle and went off to live in the wilderness. Sounds like something straight out of a fantasy novel, doesn't it? So yeah, that's Merlin in a nutshell. From a Welsh wildman to Arthur's trusty advisor, he's been through quite the transformation over the years. So, after Merlin's impressive display of wisdom and magic, he became quite the legend in King Vortigern's court. Now, in Geoffrey's history, Merlin isn't just some side character, he's front and center in the action. King Vortigern, as we know, was having a bit of trouble with his construction project. His wizards suggested a rather grim solution, sacrificing a boy without a father to ensure the tower's stability. Pretty dark stuff, right? But here comes Merlin, the ultimate problem solver. He's brought before the king, and instead of being scared or intimidated, he's just like, okay, let me handle this. Merlin's got that confidence that comes with knowing your stuff. He calls out the wizards, asking them about the mysterious force beneath the tower that's causing all the trouble. Of course, they're stumped. Merlin then casually tells them, hey, there's a pool down there with 2 stones and 2 dragons. And guess what? He's spot on. Now, these dragons aren't just there for decoration. They symbolize a whole lot of stuff, like the Britons and the Saxons, and even King Arthur's future triumphs. It's like Merlin's dropping hints about the future while fixing the present. Fast forward a bit, and we've got Ambrosius Aurelius stepping up to challenge Vortigern's rule. With Merlin's guidance, Ambrosius becomes king and starts making big moves. Stonehenge. Yeah, that's Merlin's handiwork too. He's like the ultimate contractor, but with magic. But of course, no kingdom is without its drama. Uther Pendragon takes the throne next, but not without a bit of scandal. Thanks to Merlin's shapeshifting spell, Uther pulls a sneaky move and ends up with Agerna, the Lady of Cornwall. Now, you'd think things would calm down after that, but nope. There's still battles to be fought, betrayals to be dealt with, and a whole lot of drama. Arthur eventually takes the throne, fulfilling Merlin's prophecies, but not without paying a heavy price. Now, after Geoffrey of Monmouth's history made Merlin a household name, along came Robert Wace, a French poet with a flair for storytelling. He took Geoffrey's work and added his own spin, thanks in part to his patron, Eleanor of Aquitaine, who was all about that medieval patronage life. Wace is the guy responsible for some of the most iconic elements of the Arthurian legends, like the Round Table and Arthur's legendary sword, Excalibur. He gave Merlin a bit of an upgrade too, fleshing out his magical abilities in the iconic Stonehenge episode. Then we have Chrétien de Troyes, another poetic genius of the time. He didn't focus much on Merlin, mentioning him only briefly in one of his works. But hey, everyone's gotta start somewhere, right? But it was Robert de Doron who really took Merlin's story to the next level. His poem, simply titled Merlin, kicks off with a bang, with demons plotting the end of the world. Yeah, it's that kind of story. These demons decide to mess with some poor guy's daughter, hoping to create a half-human, half-devil spawn. But thanks to some quick thinking and a well-timed blessing, the plan goes sideways. Instead of evil incarnate, they get Merlin, a baby with some serious magical mojo. Merlin's childhood reads like something out of a fairy tale. By the time he's 3, he's spouting off stories about the Holy Grail like it's nobody's business. Talk about a prodigy. As Merlin grows up, he finds himself tangled in the political drama of King Vertigear's court, just like in Geoffrey's tale. There's disguises, secret births, and all the drama you could ask for. But what sets Robert de Boron apart is his Christian spin on the story. He sees Merlin not just as a wizard, but as a Christian seer, and Arthur as a champion of the Christian cause. It's a whole new take on the legend, one that would influence countless storytellers to come. So, after Robert de Boron's enchanting narrative, the story of Merlin continued to evolve. Enter the Vulgate cycle, a series of works that aim to present the Arthurian legends as actual history, not just fanciful tales. These weren't your average bedtime stories, they were written in prose, the serious stuff of medieval literature. The Vulgate cycle dives deep into the world of King Arthur, starting with the history of the Holy Grail and weaving through Merlin's birth, Lancelot's infamous affair with Guinevere, and the knight's quest for the Grail. It's a sweeping epic that spans generations, leading up to Arthur's tragic demise after the Battle of Camlan. But the Vulgate cycle didn't stop there. It inspired another masterpiece, the prose Merlin. This work, penned in Middle English in the mid-15th century, put Merlin front and center as the hero of the Arthurian world. Drawing heavily from Robert de Boron's earlier writings, the prose Merlin adds its own twist to the tale. It delves into the biblical backstory of Merlin's birth, linking it to Christ's harrowing of hell and setting the stage for a cosmic battle between good and evil. The prose Merlin also gives us insight into Merlin's family tree, revealing that he was named after his pious Christian grandfather, distancing him from his pagan roots. But don't worry, there's still plenty of magic and mischief to go around. The story unfolds in 2 sequels, the historical continuation and the romantic continuation. The historical part follows Arthur's struggles against rebellious barons and the formation of his legendary court, while the romantic part dives deep into the mythical aspects of the Arthurian world. We're talking Excalibur, the Lady of the Lake, the enchantment of Arthur, and, of course, the infamous affair between Lancelot and Guinevere. It's a tale of love, betrayal, and destiny, with Merlin at the center of it all. But it's Sir Thomas Malory who brings Merlin's story to its final chapter. Locked away in Newgate Prison, Malory penned La Morte d'Arthur, drawing from the rich tapestry of Arthurian lore that came before him. In Malory's hands, Merlin becomes the ultimate wizard, with powers beyond imagination. He's a mentor to Arthur, guiding him in kingship and just rule, but he's also a tragic figure, undone by his own love and ambition. And when Merlin is finally imprisoned by his own protege, Nimue, it's a symbol of the end of an era. With Merlin gone, Arthur's kingdom falls into chaos, and the once mighty Round Table is no more. But Merlin's legacy lives on, woven into the fabric of Arthurian legend. From medieval manuscripts to modern adaptations, his story continues to captivate audiences around the world. And so, as we bid farewell to Merlin, let us remember the words of the scholars who came before us, who marveled at his enduring appeal. Merlin, the prophet in Magus, is historically the second best known character from medieval literature, barely outstripped by his liege lord King Arthur. Indeed, Merlin's magic will never fade, his legend destined to endure for all time.